What's happening? Today I'm going to go through some of my top life moments. And I know what you might be thinking. How could you whittle down your 22-year life into about 10 moments? And the thing is, these moments are not just things that I've enjoyed. They're significant moments that have sort of changed how I've enjoyed life, how I see life now, how I've changed my opinion on life and the world beforehand. And I'm going to go chronologically. And with this, I've put 10 things down, and it's because I literally remember it to almost the date of when it happened. And obviously, I'm missing loads of little bits out, loads of little side quests and stories that I've done. But these are my top life moments. So the first one I'm going to start with is one that I'm going to keep adding to, hopefully, and that is the enjoyment of my family holidays through childhood. And it was just the enjoyment of every summer going away with my family in a hotel, in a villa, in a different country, soaking up the sun, soaking up the culture, soaking up the food and eating it all. And you look back at it, and one day I won't get invited on the family holiday. And I hope that day doesn't come anytime soon, because the whole point of life is that, yes, you want to grow on your own, but I'm always leaning and going towards the family first concept. I'm heavy on that. Where I think friends come and go and things like this, but family are there all the time. Family don't go. And the main thing as well, because they're older as well, and they don't want to see you grow up, spending time with them is not only important to yourself, but it means so much more to them, and them not having that feeling they're maybe losing their kid, and they're growing too quickly. So looking back on my family holidays, I've had some unbelievable memories. Lanzarote, we did that a few years in a row. We did America, and my parents fell in love with Anna Maria Island off the coast of Florida. And hopefully I can go on another one soon, because it just brings us all together. Not a lot of arguments, not a lot of issues, not a lot of worry, which is the main thing. It's a place for my parents to sort of get away from the troubles of work and just relax. And it's just great to see, and I love being a part of it. So now if I jump to 2010, 2011, and it's when my team QPR won the Empower Championship. And this was my first full season with a season ticket to all the games. And my dad got me into it in January the year before, and in the year after, there was no expectations of success. Similar to the situation we're in now, where we didn't think we were going to go up to the Premier League, and we'd not been up to the Premier League in 1995. And this is now 2011, so it had been 15 years. And out of nowhere, we did the miracle. Great signings, great management, great decision making, and great football. And for what it was my first season at the time, vast to what I now watch, where it's not as enjoyable. And I just couldn't believe my eyes, really. And then you look back on it now, especially older, and where the success has gone, and you go, I had it so good. First season, you couldn't get anything better than winning the league. Watching football as your first season as a 7-year-old. And that's just what happened, and we didn't just win. We dominated that league. And I saw us lose one game in 30 that I went to. And that'll be unheard of now. I see us lose every other week, 3 times a month. And I look back at it now, the 7 and 8-year-old me, like, what's a memory that I'll now hold on to the rest of my life, and that I got to experience so early, where every sort of season I go, I really want to get on the pitch again and get a photo of me on the pitch that I've watched hundreds of games on now. And I always say to my dad, did you take a picture of me back in 2010-11 that you might have that I can see, and he didn't, because at that moment cameras weren't really heavily a thing on phones, and we were just living in the moment. So I would like to experience that again and maybe get a photo on the pitch. Then if we jump forward to 2014, where the club went into turmoil and financial problems by no fault of our own. But in 2014, I went to Wembley Stadium watching QPR for the first time, and it's what every football fan's dream is, watching their team at Wembley. And I did it. And we won again. We won again. And once again, I was also probably too young to properly enjoy it. I was 12. And I took it for granted that I had the opportunity to go. I also was 12. So I don't look at football the same way as I do now, where it's really analytical and I'm really engrossed in the sport now. And players and career paths and just the personable nature of all these individuals, transfers, rather than before it's just go to the football, see some goals. But the main thing of this is that every single year on the 24th of May, the club reposts our goal from the playoffs. Last minute, first shot on target. You won't get a more decisive moment in a football game than that, and I was there to see it. Then if we jump forward where I've just started secondary school. So like I said, I'm so young. I've just started secondary school, and it gets to about January, February. And I've started doing German. And I've never done languages at school. I can't remember if I did a little bit of French at primary, but I don't think so. So you're doing French and German. And I loved German when I first started it. And I was like, this is wicked language. I have, however, stopped learning German now. However, I signed up for the German exchange trip. And I had no idea what I was getting myself on for. And what it was I had a German lad come stay with my family for a week, 10 days. Then, about a month and a half later, I went to Reutlingen, Germany, just outside of Stuttgart, and stayed at his house for 10 days. And I did that in 2014 and in 2015. Or maybe 2015, 2016, actually. Yeah, 2015, 2016. Yeah, because it would have been during the Euros in France. And I believe I watched France beat Germany in a semi-final in the airport whilst I was waiting to get taken to the school of my exchange partner. And the best thing about this, I look back on it, was how I look at life now is that I do want to get away in terms of I would love to live somewhere new. And I love my family and where I live, and I do really want to just experience new things. And the thing with this German exchange is that I was living with a new family in a new culture at a young age, and I was kind of learning German, but really I was just trying to keep up and also find my feet and also sort of unlock that social part of me that I had been holding back. And it was hard to do, but I believe I sort of did it, and that was the first sort of step that made me go, you want to explore, mate. That's what is the whole part of life. You want to explore. And it sort of, it felt normal for these 10 days being a part of someone else's family, and it was just great. And I would have done it again, but my exchange partner moved away from that school, so I wanted to sort of keep the I had that bond where if I wanted to do the exchange, I would have done it with my exchange partner I did with for 2 years in a row. And I didn't really want to get a new one, so I went, do you know what? I've done it. I've done that part of my life. I've done the exchange trip. I don't need to do it again. I did it first time and it was so good, I did it again. It's that quote where it's like, the first time was so nice, I had to do it twice. And that's what I did. They never mentioned doing it a third because I didn't. And it would have been a similar trip each year. So I'd done that. So then I had to move on. Then, in this second year where I've done the trip, I'm also going through what I would like to say the best educational year of my life in terms of just enjoyment of education. And that was year 8, 2015, 2016, where it was only 1 year of my life at school. But it's sort of, I just felt less pressure on myself to perform. And I believe there there was a lot less examination for that year group, and it sort of just felt like I was going through the motions and it was a bit easy. But it was also just enjoyment. I was enjoying myself. Where once I got to year 9, there was a big step up. But in year 8, it just felt great. Like that was my peak secondary school sort of period. 2016 was also the best year ever, potentially. Maybe not. I'll get onto it. But I just think, like, even when I was on my holidays and stuff, the music just hit different. And this was when I was sort of in my pop phase, and I believe it was when The Weeknd really started like getting big onto mainstream radio. But the music that summer, I think it was Justin Bieber's album as well. It just all hit different, and I was like, this is what life's about. Relaxing, good music, good food, can't go wrong. And everything in my life was just sort of aligned, where I was having more fun, less pressure, and I was living life a bit more. Then if we move forward, we go past all the dark moments where I was struggling at the end of secondary school. So from after year 8, we were at the top of the mountain, then we literally crashed all the way back down. And I went to college because I didn't get in to the sixth form of my school because I was struggling really hard and really wasn't there educationally, and my brain just sort of just went to cheese during my GCSEs, and I really did let myself down. Always look back on it. One of my biggest regrets is that I really let myself down. But my college rebound can't be overlooked. It was also something where, if I didn't fail, would I be here in this headspace where this college rebound was something that I needed? I left school and the people that I knew, and I went into a new environment with less people, sort of a lot of independence, sort of flexible scheduling, especially with COVID hitting. And I think my 2019 comeback at college was just generational, where socially, academically, mentally, I was recovering from the trauma that I sort of suffered towards the end of my GCSE period, where I failed. And every day I was telling myself, you failed, you let yourself down. And the whole mission of the start of college and the whole of college was to change that, change how people saw me as a failure and create success for myself. And because I was in a new environment, I had to refine my feet. But it was something so important for me to find, because it just set that shift off in my head, and it was the really starting point to get me to where I am now. And also, if I went to sixth form, would I have gone to university? Probably not, because I'd have had people around me saying, I'm not doing that, and I would have been talked into not going. College, a lot of people in my class wanted to go, and I went, why not? And I really didn't actually want to go when I was at college, but I spoke to a few people, had pretty good guidance, and I went, do you know what? This might be for me. And now we get onto it. 2021, September 18th, I moved to Bournemouth for 3 years of university. And I said 2016 was the best year ever. But 2021, going into the start of 2022, could have been the best year ever. Where I had new friends, something that I really struggled to do just through the whole of education. I lived with people in a flat where they were all my age, and I could get away with things that I wouldn't get away with at home. I wasn't judged because we were all just getting to know each other. I was in a new town. I was going on big nights out. I'd never really had a drink before uni. And that all changed because I was in that sort of environment, and we look back and go, maybe I went overkill. And I did drink too much because I've just had to lose all the university weight now. And I'm coming out of the other side of it where I'm now a lot healthier, and I'm sort of getting back to where I was when I started university, because I was probably about 80 kg then, and I'm 80 kg now. And then when I finished uni, I was 90. So I put 10 kilos on at uni. Wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle, but it was unbelievable. What a moment. Apart from the education, where it had to be done. But socially, how I've come out of university, brilliant. Where at university, what did I really gain out of it? I got my degree. I got all this knowledge of business management and marketing. But really, I grew as a person, socially, mentally, let's say academically as well. I got these messy nights. I got to sort of go out on my birthday with people my own age and have a great laugh, which I never really did at home. It wasn't really something I was really into. It was just like go out for a family meal. But now I'm at uni. I'm at the club on my birthday. Come on. And I just sort of, I was able to be the real me for 3 years. And now I've sort of come home and I've thought about it more and I'm gone, who cares what I'm wearing? Who cares who sees me out and about doing certain things? Because this is how I've wanted to be the whole time. And finally, I broke the barrier. And this is how I want to behave and act and be seen. And uni really taught me that. Then when I finished university, I went travelling, Southeast Asia. I'm not going to touch on this heavily, because I've made a video on it before, and it's 20 minutes long, called the Southeast Asia Debrief, and I think it's the second video on my channel. So if you want to know more about that, check it out. But just travelling with my mate, 2 months around Asia, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. Like I said, like with the independence at uni, it was the same thing, but I went to 3 countries on the other side of the world, independently and confidently, and I had loads of fun, and it was the best thing I've ever done. One thing I'm going to touch on though, because these are my top life moments, is the best day of my life, which was, I got it wrong in the Southeast Asia video. I said the 8th of October, but that's when I posted my Instagram photos. It was the 7th of October 2024. I went to Maya Bay, off the Fifi Islands, which has been run down and heavily tourist driven now, which is unfortunate, but I also went there, so I'm also part of the problem. However, years ago, when I was still probably starting secondary school, so probably 2012 to 2015, my family put on The Beach for the first time with DiCaprio, and I went, this is wicked. This is a wicked film. I've then gone and watched it about 10 times. Ask my uni mates. I've watched it loads of times. And then I got told by my parents that it's a real place. And I went, I've got to go. Then I made it my life plan to go. I made it my life purpose to go. And when I went to college, I was speaking to one of my friends that I actually did know from secondary school. We both ended up going to the same college, just by where I went there and he went there. And then we saw each other at the bus stop one day and went, oh, sweet, mate. You're going to the same college as me. Nice. So I did keep that sort of secondary school connection at college. And I made a new friend, properly, where we didn't talk to each other a lot at secondary school. And then college became great friends. I told him, I went, Maya Bay, mate, is closed right now. And then obviously we hit COVID and it was definitely closed. But I told him 2019, I went, one day, my friend, I am going to go to Maya Bay. And it was closed at this point, but I had the dream. And then when me and Harry went to the Fifi Islands on the 7th of October 2024, we booked the Blanco boat trip, booze cruise, to Maya Bay. And I was absolutely steaming on booze. And it was the best day of my life. And I think maybe if I was sober, it would have been even better. However, I look back at it and I think, because I was drunk and in such a good mood, I was in some mad headspace where I was absolutely steaming. But because of it, I was so giddy. We were getting photos on the beach like they do in the film, where you all stand in the line and you go, wee. I stood on the sand. I stood on the beach. I stood in the sea. And yes, I got the photo that I wanted. But I've also got the memory. And when people say they've got bucket list items and things they want to do, a lot of the time they don't do them. But I made it my life mission. And I did it. And it's the best day of my life. Best day of the last 12 months. And I don't know if it will be topped. But maybe it will. When hopefully I find something else I want to do. That much. And if my final moment, it's going to be my reflection on myself when I've come home. More of a deeper one where I've mentioned it quite often, and you're probably bored of hearing it if you tune in often. My consistency in my health, in myself, my gym, activity, my diet. Right now, I'm exactly where I want to be health wise, and right now I've changed my life in terms of I've lost the weight. I've cut a lot of alcohol out where I am still drinking. I'm not sober. However, I'm on a clear path now of where I want to go, and this is the life that I've been planning to rebuild to for me, and this is what life's about. This is my life top moments, and you might think some of them are a bit like, well, like I don't care, but for me, these have changed my life and how I live it now, how I want to live it in the future, and this is for me. This is for me. Yes, I'm sharing what I've done, but I hope that everyone that watches this has their own top moments in life and can recollect them and actually reflect and go, I've lived such a good life. Because we're hard on ourselves, or we go, have I actually achieved what I want to achieve so far? And for a lot of us, we could have achieved a lot more. But time is of the essence, where they say, like, our time will come. And I'm hoping that I will experience more great moments. But right now, these are my best ones. And I've got some miscellaneous ones where I could have been a black belt in karate, but my coach was not putting us in for the test and was just sort of taking our money every week instead of putting us in for the test. And then when I was on the brown and 2 white belt, I just gave it up in my head. In my head, I'm a black belt, and that's what I tell people. I put the work in, and then no one believed in it. But I always tell myself, I'm a black belt in karate. I don't tell anyone that. But like, if I wrote it down one day, that's what I would say. That's how I would carry myself and go, I did it. I put the work in for years. I did it through school. I did it after school clubs. And a lot of the time we just forget about these things. But the best part about it is just reflecting and go, I have lived a fulfilling life. And hopefully tomorrow I can keep doing the same.